Welcome to this second lesson in the second section of the Grow Your Own Marketing Strategy. As you know, section number 2 is all to do with the preparation and the groundworks before putting your marketing strategy together. Excuse me. And in this lesson, we're going to cover off some sales process analysis. So what am I going to show you? Well, it's actually a really simple process. We're going to do a simple analysis of what it takes to complete a sale in your business. Why? Well, we need to know who is involved in this process, and it's not always just you and your customer. What is involved, what needs to be done, how long it takes, both in the length of time period and the number of hours, and in general terms, how much it costs to make a sale. That's not how much it costs to produce the item that you're selling, it's how much it costs to make the sale, or the cost of sale. So without further ado, let's just get into it. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a list. Start off with, we're going to create a list of all the actions that we have to go through to create a sale. Now, the first thing to note here is that we're not talking about the marketing actions here. We're actually assuming that we have made initial contact with the customer, and we'll get into first moments of truth at a later date. But let's just assume that this one is when we have we have identified a potential customer. Now, the example I'm going to go through here is actually a live example from some time ago. It was a startup business set up by a father and son team who both knew the electrical business very well. And what the business is doing is essentially replacing LED or standard lighting with LED lighting in light manufacturing businesses and that sort of stuff. And they had nice financial agreements and all that sort of stuff that would go with it. So but we're using them as an example, just so you can understand what we're talking about here. So as I say, what we do is we list out every action in sequential order that your business needs to go through to complete a sale. So you can see we start off at the top here with first customer meeting. Then in this particular case, they have to do a site audit or audits. Then they do a cost analysis, produce the first proposal. They get into a primary negotiation. Then hopefully they sign a contract. Then they receive part payment. They sign a shipping contract. They order the hardware. They pay 30% deposit. Then they pay 70% of the balance. Then the hardware is received, they do the install, they check and approve, and so on all the way through. So we list down every action that our business needs to go through to achieve that sale. Now, let me just say, the way I normally do this is I normally do this with Post-it notes and put it on a wall and then transfer it into an Excel document at a later date. But the next thing we're going to do is we're then going to do exactly the same, but for what the customer needs to do. And in this particular case, we do have our first client meeting, and then we do a site audit. And at that site audit, the customer needs to supply the energy bills because it's part of the proposal that they're going to do. Then we go away and do our cost analysis and our first proposal. And when we produce the first proposal, then the client or the customer then needs to do a detailed review themselves. Then after that, we're both involved in a primary negotiation. Then after that, the customer, because in this particular case, it's probably going to be a balance sheet item. So therefore, he's probably going to, or she's probably going to need the board approval. So we need to put that in there. And then we all sign contracts. Then in fact, actually, there's a thing missing there that they should make their initial part payment, and so on, all the way through. And we list down every element that the customer needs to do to complete this sale as well. The next stage then is actually we look at what our key partners are required. So you remember back in the business model canvas, on the very left hand side of the business model canvas, we identified our key partners. And same again here. So what we're going to do in this particular example, we have partner 1, partner 2, and partner 3. So partner 1 is this hardware supplier. Partner 2 is the install labor supplier, and partner 3 is the business that provides the credit arrangements for the whole thing. And so, as we did with our business and the customer's business, list down what the hardware, what each of these partners needs to do. So, if you look at the hardware one there, you see the first estimate. The first thing that he has to do is a hardware estimate, and then further on down the line, he has to provide the shipping contract, etc. And the same with the labor partner. He has to give us a labor estimate, and he needs to sign a contract. Plus the service level agreement, etc., that goes with this, backed up over 5 years, and so on. And then the same with in this case with the third key partner, and in this case they have to approve in principle and all that sort of stuff, and sign contracts. So all that we're doing there is creating a list of the actions that every element or each partner in this whole project needs to do, and we do it in chronological order, and where things happen together, we put them beside each other in our sheet. Next element after that, I just you don't have to do this, but I do it. I just put a comment section in there, particularly as a consultant. That's what I do, just to remind me of little areas that we're going through. And then the final element of this is to put some numbers beside it. So the first column that we're looking at, as you see, is in column I, is timings. And in this one, it's where we identify roughly how long that part of the process will take. Okay, so we'll talk about man hours in a minute, but so from our first customer meeting to us getting our first proposal usually takes about 3 weeks. Actually, in this particular instance, this company was a startup. Although both of them knew the industry very well, both the founders knew the industry well, it was technically a startup with a new product. Well, it wasn't even technically, it was a startup with a new product. And you can see as we worked our way through this, the timing, so in this first element, we estimated it would take about 3 weeks, the next bit about 10 weeks, then another 10 weeks, and then another 5 weeks. Actually, it all added up to about 28 weeks. And this was extremely useful exercise for these guys, because they had, without going through the detail of it, they had thought, well, actually, no, we reckon we'll have our first customer from flash to bang in about 2.5 to 3 months. When you look at it and work and do the detail on it, you see, actually, no, this could be 28 weeks is pushing 7 months. Well, 6.5, 7 months. And that's not including any public holidays or things that might come in the way. So you're looking at potentially a 7-month project in this particular case, and that has real implications straight away. For example, on their cash flow forecast. So before they even get into anything like marketing, they these basic exercises throw up some really interesting information, and for you it'll be different bits of information. For these guys, it just happens to be, oh, actually, okay, we need to adjust our cash flow forecast. The next element to the side of that is the man hours required, and then other costs that are required as well to the right of that. Again, the man hours one was really interesting thing, because in fact, actually, the screen capture it doesn't capture the whole screen, but you'll see on the bottom right hand side, I've taken another part of that Excel sheet and shown what those add up to. That in fact, actually, for every sale these guys made, that it was probably going to take 50 man hours. 50 man hours, as you can see down in the bottom right hand corner there, to make each sale. And this again then allows you to start planning for the kind of resources that you're going to need. It will allow you to start planning as to how many people you're going to require. So let alone the marketing side of it, is that if I drum up a lot of business, am I even going to be able to handle the sales process? Because if it takes 28 weeks, takes 50 hours over 28 weeks, you can start doing a little bit of maths and deciding how many salespeople you're going to require, or how many admin staff, etc. How many man hours it actually takes to produce this. Again, really interesting on pricing, because again, quite a lot of people will just add up all the costs in, add a bit of margin, and there we go. Well, these 50 man hours need to be included as a cost there. So that's how we put together the basic sales process analysis. Now, your task, as you've probably guessed, is to do your own sales process. I usually do this. I usually start off with doing it on post-its, where find a blank wall, get lots of or sticky notes, as you might know them as, and start at the top and just start sticking things on the wall. And then once you've stuck them into the wall and you're happy with it and you move them around, etc., then transfer it into Excel. Again, with all these tasks that we're doing in this this section, is to keep it really simple to start with. You can start getting into heavy detail if you really want, but at this stage, don't. Keep it really simple to start with. But do, the little thing that's not said there, do concentrate on the customer tasks, the tasks that the customer, the steps that the customer needs to go through. Because again, this is going to have serious implications on your marketing plan and detail further on down. So make sure you list out what steps the customer business needs to go through. And the final point there is there is a file of a copy of that Excel sheet that I've just taken you through. It is contained within the lesson within Bizmarang, and so use that as a template to start with if you wish. You're probably better making up your own rather than sticking to your thing, but there is one there. And then finally, do share your work by creating a post in the course newsfeed. Myself and my team are constantly in there watching, and not only that, but all the other members of the cohorts so all the other members of this cohort are doing this course will see it as well. And I promise you, the feedback you will get will be fantastic. So please do share it in the course newsfeed. And that's about it for sales process analysis. So hopefully look forward to seeing you in the next lesson, where we're going to cover off customer personas, and now we really are beginning to get into the marketing side of it. So thank you very much for your time, good luck, and look forward to seeing you in the newsfeed. Thanks, bye.